Love lives here.
Well, good morning. It's good to be back with you. I feel like life's kind of a spiral, and I keep spiraling around Riverside Center for Spiritual Living, and here I am again. So this is my first time in your beautiful new space, but I know it's the same love, the same energy, the same spiritual principle, same good vibes, same good music. So I'm glad to be back with you this morning. If you read my Connect article this week, you know that when I was a kid, I had a little fascination with ants. This was all the way back in kindergarten. I would rather spend time on the playground looking at the ants than I would running around and playing. And I don't know why I found them so fascinating, but I have a distinct memory of getting bit by ants almost on a daily basis. And being a teacher now, I'm sure my teachers then were just so irritated with me because every day I would get bit by an ant, and every day I would have to go up to the nurse. But there was something about those ants that I just found interesting, and I wonder if I didn't miss my calling as an entomologist. Maybe I went into the wrong career, I'm not sure. And just so you know, because I'm a teacher and I can't help myself, an entomologist who studies ants is called a myrmecologist. See? Now you can't leave here saying you didn't learn anything. It's a myrmecologist, is an entomologist who studies ants. I think maybe my fascination with ants was that I was always wondering, it seemed like the secret world, a secret perspective. I always wondered if they knew what was going on in the big world, or if they're in their own little world and had completely oblivious of all the people walking around. It's a matter of perspective, isn't it? I wonder what the perspective of an ant would be. And then, like any budding myrmecologist, of course I got a magnifying glass. And I was quite fascinated to see all the parts of the ants. And then I made a discovery. You know where I'm going with this, right? I discovered that if I focused the sun's light through that magnifying glass in just the right way, I could burn things. Leaves and twigs, sometimes ants. I've made my spiritual amends. But that memory came back to me recently, not just because it's ant season. It's been so hot, they're all looking for water. But it reminded me that what we focus on gets magnified. A lot of times in our teaching, we like to say that we are magnets, but maybe the truth is closer to we are magnifying glasses. Because what we focus on expands. Spiritually speaking, we're all walking around with invisible magnifying glasses. And sometimes, maybe without meaning to, instead of using them to see, we use them to scorch. We zoom in on people that annoy us. We magnify the things that make us different. We zoom in on the difference in political views, their mistakes, their weird hobbies, their different life experiences. And we burn away the rest of who they are in their divine nature. We do it to groups. We do it to strangers. Sometimes we even do it to the people that we love. We use our magnifying glasses to focus on the things that make us different. So today I'm inviting you to zoom out a little bit, to widen, to open. We're going to talk about how shifting our perspective helps us see maybe a little bit more clearly, to see in each one of us, one another clearly, to see the world through a spiritual lens rather than a fearful one. You with me? So maybe instead of a magnifying glass focused on how we're different, maybe we all need telescopes to remind ourselves that we all belong in one universe, one song, one voice. We are both unity and multiplicity. Both of those things are true. One of my favorite authors is Alan Watts. And if you don't know who Alan Watts was, he started out as an Episcopal priest, believe it or not. And then he went on to become a philosopher and a Buddhist teacher. And something he said I heard a while ago that's just really struck with me. And he said, now we come here, right at the start, to an extremely important principle, which is the different points of view you get when you change your level of magnification. Different levels of magnification get you a different point of view. You see, at one level of magnification, it might look like conflict. If you were to zoom in on the cells in your body, you would see cells eating cells. You would see new cells being born. Might seem chaotic. It might seem divisive. It might seem like conflict going on. But if you zoom out to a different level of magnification, you realize that those cells are part of a bigger pattern. They make up your organs, which make up your systems, which makes up your body. At one level of magnification, things might look chaotic and different. But when we zoom out, a pattern emerges. Harmony emerges. Meaning emerges. Maybe what Alan Watts is showing us is the poetic form of what Ernest Holmes, our founder, would say is seeing through the appearances to the reality. It's not that it's not true. If we look at ourselves and we see conflict, it's not that it's not true, but it's a different level of magnification. At a higher level, harmony is inevitable. This is what prayer does. If you're familiar with our teaching and our philosophy and this idea that we have about affirmative prayer, the first step is what? Recognition. What is it that we're recognizing? That there's something larger than us, that there's something larger than whatever the appearance is. There is only one. Prayer, one definition of prayer, is the contemplation of life from the highest perspective. That means you've zoomed out to the highest possible magnification. It is the contemplation of life from the highest possible perspective. The same is true of your life. When you see yourself only up close, you might miss your beauty, your purpose, and your wholeness. The same is for others. If we hold up that magnifying glass and we focus on the differences, we might miss someone's beauty, their purpose, or their wholeness. I'm pretty fairly convinced that when we're in the middle of drama and conflict in our lives, it might be because we have zoomed in too close. We've zoomed in too close to things that we can no longer see the pattern. We can no longer see the connections or the similarities. We lose the meaning of things. We walk around with our magnifying glass focused on everything that is wrong or the things that separate us from each other. But what if we stepped back? We ask the question, what situation in my life seems scattered or chaotic up close? And what might I see if I stepped back? Here at the Center for Spiritual Living, we affirm that all life is interconnected and sacred. Diversity is not a threat to oneness, it is proof of it. Another name for God might be the infinite creative principle. And it can only express itself through variety, through you, through me, through trees, through bees, through every face and every form. To do otherwise would be to ask an artist to paint a sunrise, but only use the color blue. That's how life shows up. It's the colors and the differences that make it beautiful. Maybe that's one definition of judgment. Maybe judgment is when we make assumptions based on a close-up view of something or someone. Maybe that's judgment. We put someone or something under our magnifying glass, and we think we have the whole story. Saban Selassie, I'm probably not saying her name right. We long to belong. She says, we long to belong, and we long to exclude. We all yearn for connection. But fear often causes us to contract and to exclude because we think a smaller circle makes us safer. But the truth is, those walls that we put up, that we think make us separate, that we think make us safer, they also lock us in. They also can become our prison walls. Selassie calls us to widen the circle of who we include in our sense of us. Who's in your tribe and who's out? You see, the same one life that flows through me flows through every person I'm tempted to exclude. And if I exclude them, I'm excluding myself or something about myself. I want you to think about something for a minute. Let's stretch out your brain. You know that physicists tell us that the universe all began with a big bang. And we like to think of ourselves as the result of that big bang. But the truth is, that big bang is still happening. It's still in process. You are the big bang still happening. How's that for expanding your perspective? When we judge and exclude people and perspectives from our circle, we're saying this part of the Big Bang is beautiful, this part, not so much. Do you look at the world with a magnifying glass, looking for ways to exclude something or someone who doesn't fit in your circle? Or are you looking at the world with a telescope and asking yourself, what else is true? What am I missing? What would I see if I took a wider perspective? Unity doesn't mean uniformity. Belonging isn't about blending in. It's about being seen in our uniqueness. Think about a judgment you've made recently. What deeper truth or story might you have missed while you were looking through that magnifying glass? It's kind of funny, there's only one mind. I had no idea you guys were going to play that song today. But I was going to say, if I had to sum up our philosophy and our spiritual tradition in one sentence, it would be, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. Ernest Holmes says, we should be open to new ideas, new hopes, and new aspirations. For nothing is more certain than that the human mind is eternally unfolding. And I would add that the universe itself is eternally unfolding. It is leveling up. It is becoming more diverse, more complicated, more intelligent, more intertwined, more colorful. It's becoming more of itself every day. And so are we. So what have you discovered when you changed the way you looked at something? When you looked through a telescope instead of a magnifying glass? When we do that, that's when we are called and invited to expand our perspective. And so it is. So this is the point where we invite you to move over to the tables and join in the conversation. You have some questions at your table. Number 1, think of a recent judgment you made. What deeper truth or story might you have missed? Number 2, what situation in your life seems scattered or chaotic up close? And what might you see if you stepped back? And number 3, what have you discovered when you changed the way you looked at something? Go. So my invitation for you this week on a personal level is just to spend some part of every day expanding your perspective. If that's in prayer or meditation or walking or washing the dishes, take some time every day to get outside your own little circle, to widen, and remember that you're connected to something bigger. And on an individual level, when you're having those relationships or conflicts, being able to practice the pause. Pause your reaction, take a conscious breath, and ask, what else might be true here? Because when we're focused on one little thing that's irritating us or making us angry or pushing our buttons, we're leaving a part of the story out. And more than one thing can be true. So zoom out before you react. Widen your circle before excluding. And magnify what is good, loving, and connected. And so it is.
So it is.
So I invite you to take a deep breath. Settling into this moment. Settling into the contemplation of life from the highest perspective. And from that perspective, I simply know that there is only one. One life, one principle, one power. One creative intelligence from which everything comes. Everything seen and unseen. Everything known and unknown. It is the smallest particle of sand, the smallest molecule of an atom, and all the way out to the largest galaxy spinning out from the center of the earth. In the center of the galaxy, it is all one. One mind, one presence. And from that place, I simply know that I am that one. And what I know is true about me, I know is true than each one of us and each person within the sound of my voice. You are not the small ant. You are the galaxy spinning out from the center of all that is known. You are the Big Bang. You are God knowing itself. And so because I know that is true, I can speak my word for myself and each one of us here this morning, knowing that from that highest perspective, there can be only wholeness, a pattern of perfection, a pattern of divine right action, a pattern of abundance and beauty and wisdom. So wherever I think, or you might think there is a lack or limitation this morning, I know it is dissolved back into the nothingness from which it came. That in its place there is perfect peace, perfect right action, perfect wisdom, perfect grace. And I'm so grateful for this knowing, for this sacred place, for this sacred community where I am reminded who I am. And so I release this word into that infinite law that always says yes and mirrors back to me everything that I place into it. And together we say, and so it is.
So I invite everybody to please stand and let us share in this affirmation. I'll wait for y'all to get up. All right. So, I magnify love. I magnify peace. I magnify belonging. Let's say it all together. Ready? I magnify love. I magnify peace. I magnify belonging. Something wonderful is happening through me right now. It is this thing called love. Love is in my mind. Love is in my body. Love is in everything I do. I am it. I share it. I receive it. And I move love forward because love lives here. Happy Sunday.